two measures. Measure C basically extends the existing SOAR with some few modifications, but basically extending that to 2050. Measure F, with slightly more modifications, its essence of it is that it extends SOAR only to 2036. Whichever of those two measures wins, right, then that's the law. Right? I mean, they're not going to conflict. One or the other is going to win.
So let me talk about SOAR. Okay, and Herb already talked about this. Restricts growth to urban boundaries, doesn't enable growth outside of them. Okay, and the boundaries can't expand. It is simply a growth control. My conclusions are this: the recent evidence on the Ventura County economy follows the classic textbook example of what occurs in a region where widespread urban growth controls are in place. Less housing, less employment, firms defecting from the region, commuting pattern inefficiencies, and more traffic because of all that commuting.
And we analyzed the SOAR initiative, and we determined that SOAR doesn't really save agriculture. In fact, all it does is, as Dr. Schneep says, really control growth. And so we put together Measure F. We actually had quite a few discussions with SOAR along the way. We had some negotiations with them, but we really couldn't get the powerful language we need in this county to keep farming viable. And that's where we started, from this simple idea: if you want to stop sprawl and protect agriculture in Ventura County, then it has to be economically viable. And so what you're starting to see really is farms in the Oxnard Plain. There were 3 of them that were recently closed, and almost 1,000 employees laid off in the farming businesses around. In Raspberry Grower in Camarillo and 2 in Oxnard. We need to be able to evaluate this in 20 years. The farmers are going to need to add new goals and policies to the general plan to keep them viable, economically viable in the future. Well, I think the biggest difference is that SOAR is saying that they save agriculture. It's in their name, and it's not really true. And the farmers felt very strongly that they needed to stand up at least and say, look, this isn't true. They're not saving us. They're not helping us. And in some ways they refuse to help. And so the major difference, I think, is that farmers really in this county want to keep farming. You're hearing the SOAR people talk about how they're all large landowners. Well, of course they are. They farm. They have to be. And that they're all developers, which is entirely untrue. They're mostly families that have been here for a really long time. And that's the key difference, is that we're trying to keep an industry here alive and economically viable as part of this process.
But carry on the conversation with one another, and thank yourselves as well as the speakers for doing a little educating. So thank you.